All right. Is this us live? It looks like I see myself. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the. Now, let me see if I can mute myself here. All right. How's that? Chris, can I still hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No. Okay. I need to mute the. There we go. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Say something again, my brother.
Can you hear me now?
All right, everybody. Welcome to Sat Chats Live, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about Sats live without any shirts on. This is the July 4th holiday weekend, beach weekend edition. Dude, we defeated the English, man. We don't have to wear shirts on camera if we don't want to. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats Live, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center live. So if you're brand new to Bitcoin or if you're not brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about Sats with you. Jump in the chat right now. Let us know how you're doing, how you're celebrating the holidays. I'll be your host, Stuart Bitcoin Maxi, who is coming to you with, let's see here. Hang on, man. I got to do this. I got to do this thing right, y'all. Where's my sunglasses? I don't even have sunglasses, guys. You're going to
Oh
see my
my
you're
gosh.
going to see my face here, dude. I tell you what, Chris, you introduce yourself while I put on my disguise here.
All right. Well, while Stuart is getting it together, welcome on behalf of me to this red hot episode, the July 4th edition of Sat Chats Friday Live Show. I'm your co host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus, resident Bitcoin smash buyer. When my wife lets me, we are giving away 10 million sats right here on YouTube. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel to be entered to win. And Stuart is now
Wow.
back and
Dude, look at that.
appropriately dressed. He was, dude, that was
Dude.
like rated R before. You had
I was
nothing on.
it was nothing to do with not wearing a shirt, but I felt naked, dude. I felt naked. I was like, oh my god, dude, they can see my eyes, they can see my face. Anybody who is managing to watch this on July, maybe they'll all be at the beach and they'll never see what my face looks like. That was amazing. All right,
Well,
so
we have eight watching right now, so eight people
amazing.
saw you.
Dude, I was getting ready to say I'll be your host, Stuart Bitcoin, Maxi, and then I was like, who wears? And I was like, wait, dude, I am completely naked on camera right now, dude. I have absolutely nothing on my face. What am I doing?
Uh,
So I guess we'll just get things started, man. Oh my God, hilarious. All right, so I am coming to you all live from Myrtle Beach. I'm wrapping up an annual family vacation that my dad and mom put on for us. They have like a vacation timeshare down here. So we've been at the beach. We did the Ferris wheel last night. We're making it all happen. So we actually asked them to give us more time in the room so I could come to you guys live before hitting the road to head back to Raleigh. So I'm in a great spot. I've been having a great time. Chris, it seems like you've been on vacation as well, man. Where have you been?
yeah, I was over in Europe for 10 days. Hit a couple different cities in Spain, ended up in Lisbon, Portugal, and then flew home on Sunday. So it's been 5 days. I've been home now. Had a great kind of slow week at home with the family. None of the kids were in camp, so we were all together, and here we are, July 4th. Happy birthday, America.
Yeah. So let's actually let's make that our topic for the day. And also, I need to know if VAW is here yet. Um, let's make that our topic for the holiday, Chris, because July 4th, we, basically were unhappy with a number of different things, but taxation was one of them. And my question is, now we're living in a world where there's inflation, which is a secret form of taxation. And, we get income taxed, we get sales taxed, we get property taxed. I want everybody out there in the chat to tell me, like, what do you think is a fair form of taxation here in America?
Wait,
And how do you think that they should tax your Bitcoin if they have it? And what should the government provide for you in exchange for that? So maybe a little bit spicy for a beginner friendly Bitcoin show, but that's just been what's on my mind today, man. What do you think about that, Chris?
that's fine. I'm going to start a Q&A right in our chat.
Oh, dang.
And I don't know if you can see that popped up there, but it says, how do you think Bitcoin should be taxed?
Yeah, how should Bitcoin? Nice, dude. So you're getting all juicy over here. We're learning the tricks and the tools of our trade.
Dude, there's so much in here. We could be going, it looks like under here, we could be blasting this live on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all sorts of stuff.
Crazy. All right, so that'll be our topic for today. Let me jump into a quick update. I think for everyone, you might have noticed that we did not publish any short stacks this previous weekend. We have, I think, one that's been taped, and we had a second one that we did that was horrible, and that's probably going to go into the lost archive. That's probably going to go.
Wait, did you rewatch that and confirm that it was not good, or did
No, I just, we walked away from it and we were like, dude, that wasn't any good. And I haven't looked at it since. But, regardless of whether we published both or not, we did not publish any last weekend. And that's because we're going to be refocusing on our daily show because we were kind of we're gonna kind of reserve the short stack format for when we have something to talk about in that format, right? Like we were kind of pushing into as many beginner areas about Bitcoin as possible. And, quite frankly, starting to run out of things that we could talk about. And we were just kind of, I mean, at least I was kind of just searching around for random topics to try to cover. And we're like, both Chris and I mean, Chris, he's laser focused on whether our product is any good or not. And he was pointing out that it's like, was that any good? And we weren't so sure. So what I want to do and what Chris and I have been talking about is let's say I read a book and I want to do a review on that book. Okay, great. Let's do a little short stack where we talk about it. Or maybe there is something topical or something news related or trending that we want to cover. Or maybe as our understanding of Bitcoin deepens, we'll do a short stack on that new area of Bitcoin that we've learned about, right? Like when Simple Steve was on the live show 2 weeks ago and talked about how you would need more guesses than there are atoms in the universe to crack a 12 word seed phrase. I was like, oh my God. So I think we'll reserve short stacks for when we have something to say, and we'll just keep driving ahead with our daily show Monday through Friday on YouTube. So that's a little update there.
well, it's a really tight balance that we're trying to strike, and you know, there's like it's like we're trying to serve two masters at the same time. One of them is Bitcoin beginners, which is really who we built this business for, and the other one is like the YouTube algorithm. And I think we feel this pressure to like churn out content to feed the YouTube algorithm, and that can very easily. Stuart, do you have one of those circle cameras or circle lights there?
Yeah, yeah, you can see, you can probably see it in my
Yeah,
sunglasses.
but that's cool. I've never had one of those. That's nice.
These are actually just my laser eyes are burning through the sunglass because they recognize that they were viewed earlier on the live show and they're furious with me.
Wow. All right. Sorry for the
Woo!
tangent. That's one thing I'm trying to get better at.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like we got YouTube. Sorry, we've got Bitcoin beginners on one hand, and that's really that's our target audience. And then we've got the YouTube algorithm, and it's there's a pressure to churn out content. You know, there's all the what does the topic need to be? What is the thumbnail? What's the right thumbnail? What's the right title? What's the right, there's a whole YouTube game
Mhm.
that we're learning at the same time as trying to learn and shape and evolve our product, which is our daily show, in a way that serves the Bitcoin beginner community as best as possible. So I just think it's a refinement. We're going to go through a series of, we try something and then it works, it doesn't work, it comes back in a different way. But it's test and learn as we go here.
Yeah, you guys know Chris is the master of developing products. So you've tasted his hummus. You know what it's all about. Um, Now we got Richard, we got BTC Moon Guy in the chat. Richard, he's saying here, and interestingly enough, now there's like little badges, I guess, for top satillionaires in the chat. That's crazy.
Richard's
Richard,
got one for
BTC Moon
sure.
Guy, can you guys see a crown next to your name with a number one? Or is that just something that we can see as the operators of the channel? So Richard says there has to be a tax exemption for daily transacting, maybe under $100 or specific for retail purchases. Otherwise, having to figure capital gains tax info for every transaction will get us in trouble. That's really interesting.
Well, I think
And
Cynthia Loomis actually just proposed a bill that would eliminate capital gains tax for any transaction under $300. So that goes right in line with, who was that? Richard Puentes
yeah,
was saying, and that would be great. Now that has to be passed, but spot on, spot on.
yeah. It can only be a matter of time. I mean, if they're passing laws in Prague to make it more friendly, El Salvador more friendly, um, I'm sure in Bhutan, if they're mining Bitcoin, they're going to have to make it easy for themselves and therefore for their citizens. So Um, I do really want to just use Bitcoin as money. And as a business, we have Bitcoin on our balance sheet. And I've just been thinking about, okay, well, we need to make sure we're tracking things first in, last out, or last in, first, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like it would be much more straightforward if Bitcoin were just money and we didn't have to treat it like an asset. But you know what I was thinking about the other day, Chris? I was explaining Bitcoin to somebody recently, and I struck upon this idea of light is both a wave and a particle. Do you remember that from like high school science class?
Yeah.
Light is both a wave and a particle. It behaves like both. And I said, you know what? Bitcoin is the same way. It's both an asset investment and money, you know? And so we'll have to find ways to tax that correctly because it doesn't make any sense to pay capital gains tax on a $7 coffee if you're paying with your Satoshis. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, you know what I'm going to chat GPT right now is, I mean, it's basically currency trading, you know? So how's currency trading taxed?
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Well, I'll also ask the satillionaires out there this question: what should the government be providing for us in exchange for our taxes? I'll go first. When Augustus was made emperor of Rome and we transitioned from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire, the military was really too big, too big. And it was everywhere. And Augustus saw, well, if the military is really big and it's everywhere, they could probably overthrow me. So he thinned out the ranks of the military and he sent them to the borders of the Roman Empire so that they would be as far away from Rome as possible, and just focused on defending from outsiders. Right now, I'm not trying to set myself up as someone that doesn't want immigration or whatever, but I'm just trying to say that if the government's going to tax me, what I want to see is a right-sized military that's like focused pretty much on just making sure that the borders are allowing in the people that should be able to come in and keeping out the people that should stay out. And I don't know, dude. Maybe roads. I don't know. You could have toll systems for roads. I mean, I grew up with my dad telling me that like the free market could take could take care of everything. And I'm like, there's no way, Dad. Like, some things are not profitable. The government should be providing services that are not profitable for companies to provide. But now that I'm a Bitcoiner, I'm like, dude, there has to be a way for a company to find profit somehow in almost any service you could offer. And would the roads have less potholes if you had to pay to drive on them? You know what I mean? Or if a company was incentivized. So, anyways, give me that answer to that question. If you're going to pay taxes to the government, what do you expect in return? So, anyways, while we're waiting on that, what do you think, Chris?
Um, well, I mean, I feel like the government's role should be protecting our rights as citizens. Um, and they should only provide the basic services necessary to protect our individual rights. So that would be, yes, a right sized national defense that is focused on protecting the citizens from any external threat and maintaining the right sized form of military to defend against any kind of invasion or attack.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
So based on that definition, I think our military today is a lot bigger than I think it needs to be. And maybe I'm crazy
Mhm.
for thinking that, but I do. And then the second thing is law enforcement and maintaining the court system. So the government's role should be protecting us and enforcing the laws, and that's
I
about
like
it.
that.
Oh, that's
Eh,
about it.
Richard says his answer is the libertarian answer. Yeah, man. I mean, liberty. Liberty. I don't want anarchy. I don't want chaos, but I think most people are just trying to earn a living and provide for their family, and we can work together to exchange goods and services. Like, I think it'll be okay. So, so we're gonna go into some stories now, right? Some story time. And by the way, Chris, you were talking about, like, focusing on YouTube and on our on our audience. I was really happy with Monday's episode. I'm not certain if anybody in the chat has seen Monday's episode yet, but it was Aladdin from Bitcoin trading cards. And it was a great show with my son. We talked all about collectible cards. And at the end of the show, he dropped an exclusive scoop for us, which was that after almost 3 years in the shadows, he's getting ready to debut a a um, a trading card game. So, if you think about baseball cards, they're collectible cards, but you can't play a game with them the same way you can play a game with Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards, right? All of those are collectible cards, but there's no baseball card game. So these Bitcoin trading cards were just, they were collectible up to this point, but he's getting ready to release a new set where you can collect them and then you can actually play a game with each other. And I was like, dude, I'm ready to swing into my son Lion with, like, Michael Saylor. You know what I mean? Like, I want to put Michael Saylor on the battlefield, equip him with the infinite money glitch, and swing into Lion's face for 5 points of damage. So I was really happy with the fact that we had something exclusive to offer to our Satillionaires, and to Aladdin's community. So I hope you guys checked out his episode, and I'm hoping that over time our show will become a place where people can come and, like, just drop some world exclusive sauce on us, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the more value we can offer our audience, the better.
And we can tell too that they really liked. So far, they've really liked number 62 Jeff Booth's episode and our short stack on what is a Satoshi and why should I care. So The audience has said they liked those things, so hopefully we can produce more of those. I can tell you a story down here in Myrtle Beach, Chris. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
So Myrtle Beach is it's not actually that accessible from like 95. You have to drive through like a bunch of like smaller roads to get to Myrtle Beach, which really surprises me that South Carolina doesn't have like some major highway that dumps you, like goes off of the main 95 highway and like gets you right to Myrtle Beach. So, in exchange, Myrtle Beach doesn't necessarily have like a Wegmans, for example. But we still have to shop for groceries down here. My mom and dad want each family to take care of dinner one night for all of us, and there's 14 of us here in this Holiday Inn vacation club thing. Which, by the way, when you account for everyone's dietary restrictions and preferences, like the only thing that we can all eat is like air. And you're like, dude, how in the freak am I going to prepare a meal for everyone? And so you end up just creating like topping stations. It's like you do like a baked potato with different toppings so people can self-select, or chili with different toppings, tacos, like it's very hard. So we go down the street to the Food Lion. Now I don't really ever shop at Food Lion, but that's the grocery store that's closest to us where we are right now.
The
I
dirty
hate
cat.
grocery shopping. What's that?
The dirty cat, as we call them.
Yeah, well, I think there's like this is a family friendly podcast. I think there's a non-family friendly way to refer to Food Line as well. Um, and it rhymes with kitty. So
Huh.
so we were there at Food Lion, and I hate grocery shopping. I hate food. I hate eating. I wish I could just like drink some elixir that would
Dude,
sustain me magically.
we can get you a colostomy. What is it? Like a feeding bag or something? We can get you
Ye
one of those.
oh, oh, it's gonna have to get more futuristic than that. But anyway, so our night that we were gonna do, we like to grill out by the pool. So we get hot dogs, and then you choose your toppings. We get some crazy, weird vegetarian hot dogs for my brother. They look absolutely busted. And, you're just supposed to warm them through to the point where they can like serve as a vehicle for toppings, and then you get it in, and that's it. So, anyways, I'm shopping around Food Lion. We go to check out, and the lady, it's her first day as an employee at Food Lion, and she's like 55 or 60 years old. And I'm thinking, dude, first of all, it's so messed up that this old lady is like still having to bust her butt in a minimum wage role when she's probably worked for decades. And, maybe she didn't save, maybe she made some poor choices. I don't know. But like, if you watch my Uncle Mike's video, which I think came out yesterday, he's been working hard as a teacher all his life, and he still is going to have to retire and then keep working because all those choices aside, he's just using a form of money that's no good. And maybe this lady as well. So she's taken a million years to check me out. So I have time to look around. And what do I see, man? I see one of those Coinstar machines. Do
Yeah.
you remember those Coinstar
Yeah.
machines,
Oh,
Chris?
believe me, I used to. Yes. Oh yes, I used to scrounge coins when I needed like 20 bucks for something. By the way, I also used to work at Food Lion. I'll tell you that story after you're done yours.
Oh, wow. So Coinstar, I mean, I remember that from when I was a teenager as well. And like getting all the loose change and like turning it into 20 bucks, 25 bucks was like incredible.
Awesome.
Back in the early 2000s, like, dude, let's go. Um, so I see a Coinstar, and there's a big fat screen, and it says, turn your change into Bitcoin.
What?
Turn your change into Bitcoin, man. And I was like, hang on, what? And I looked at it, and I'm like, dude, Coinstar will now allow you to take all your loose change, and when they're done counting it up, apparently you can now convert it into Bitcoin. Is that crazy or what?
That's amazing. God bless Coinstar. Dude, they're like Netflix. They just keep reinventing themselves, and somehow they just continue to dominate, not just stay relevant, but dominate.
Dude, Bitcoin Star is they need to
Wow.
rebrand as Bitcoin Star. Now, to be rigorously honest, they also offered the option to convert your change into like 6 or 7 cryptocurrencies as well. They had like Ethereum. I recognized that icon and maybe some other ones. But turning into Bitcoin was like crazy. And I wonder if our satillionaires want us to like try some of this stuff out for them and maybe shoot a little video where we go to a Coinstar and like go through the process of converting into bit. Like, do we have to KYC? What is it like to set up an account? Like, I've also seen the ATMs at Costco where when you're done checking out at Costco, they have like an ATM, but it's like an ATM where you can buy Bitcoin. And I'm wondering, like, do you have to set up an account? My understanding of these like kind of like Bitcoin ATMs, because I saw a Bitcoin ATM on the Google Maps for Myrtle Beach too.
Hmm.
So there was like, Bitcoin is popping up everywhere, and I'm like, are they going to sell you Bitcoin at like $150,000 a coin at these ATMs? Like, where they like charge a premium. So I want to hear from our satillionaires if, they want us to like just go tinker with this stuff so we can explore it together.
Well,
Okay. And VAW says he's driving. So here's what we'll do, VAW, because this is like our holiday show where Chris and I are both remote. Next week we'll be in the studio again. We will get your who wants to be a satillionaire question ready, and then we'll be more prepared, you'll be more prepared, because what you got to do, VAW, you got to be in the show at the beginning of the show to answer your question. So Chris, this guy, verbal ass whooping, who we call VAW on this show for family friendly purposes, he got last week's "Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire" question correct. So he
mm,
won 9 satoshis, which is we're just holding that in a pot right now. And next week we're going to ask him a question only he will be able to answer, and it's going to be for 99 satoshis.
okay, I like that. So you just double it, or you just what are you doing? Multiplying
We
it
got to
by
figure. I'm thinking we might do like 999, 210, 999, 2100, 9999, 21,000. Then like 99,999. Like I like nines, and the Bitcoin community likes 21. So I'm thinking we'll do like we got to figure out how many questions it took to get to the $1 million question, and who wants to be a millionaire, and then like map it backward from there.
So okay, and you're thinking, I think we need to be more incremental than just 999 999 9999. Like that's just
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to go too fast.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that way we got to work in the 21,
Yeah.
210, 2100, whatever.
Hmm.
Plus, I also think there should be like a timer, where he'll have like 30 seconds to answer it correctly. Because I
Yeah.
think in the beginning, some of it's going to be basic Bitcoin knowledge. He might even be able to just like Google around and answer in time. But as you get up, I'm like, you know what? The only way to answer the question is to have deep knowledge of Bitcoin or to have watched a ton of our show, because it might be questions about our show as well. So, um, and our filmmaker Reggie is saying he's going to make his dad do it because he's a store manager for Food Lion. He's coming on this show at the end of the month. Nice. All right, and Richard's into some IRL BTC demos.
Well, real
So yeah,
quick,
I thought that was interesting, man.
yeah, no, for sure. I'm especially excited to keep evolving our "Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire" segment and other. Over time, I think what's going to happen with this live is like we'll have some really cool segments that we just bang through every week, and the comments will come and we'll kind of answer those as we have time. But we're going to be so busy with these goddamn segments, it's not even going to be funny. You just wait.
Dude, you know what I was thinking about today, Chris, was win Ben Stein's money. Do you
Oh,
remember
dude,
that?
you know who was the guy on Ben Stein's money?
Was it Jimmy?
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel?
It was this guy right here. It was this guy
Oh,
right here.
wow. Look at the handwritten note from your boy.
From the dude who was on
Yeah.
Win Ben Stein's Money. I'm gonna put that right there for now.
How
Yeah.
did that even stick? Was that a sticky note? How did you do that? How did you manage that?
Magic. It's a sticky
Magic,
wall.
amazing. So I
Yeah.
so I really liked that like Ben Stein himself like would go up against the contestants to see who knew the answer first.
I loved that show.
And dude, I would love to have a segment where it's me versus a satillionaire asking, answering questions about this show. Like, can you stump me with a trivia question about my own show? Do you know what I mean?
That might even be a better idea than the Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire. I think we need to do one cycle
Yeah.
for VAW because we want to make
Hmm.
good. I mean, he's a winner, and we need to. I want to give this guy more than 9 sats. Really, is what it comes
Yeah.
down to. So
Right.
we need to do a cycle of Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire. But I also like this idea of doing a Win Ben Stein's Money. We could do like Win Stewart P's Bitcoin. Um, yeah, I love
Uh,
that.
dude, there's nothing stopping this live hour Friday morning from just being like multiple game shows stacked on one another because we are the show that gives away satoshis. That's one of the top things that we do. And not only could we do Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire, win Ben Stein's satoshis, but another update for everyone is that Bitcoin Well has given us like enough wishing well points to throw in a coin between each segment, Chris. Like four or five times a show, when you're moving from one segment to another, you can throw in a coin and then everyone races to scan the QR code to have those sats drop into their Lightning wallet. So we could just be having a blast on this show, having contestants, questions, giving out satoshis, telling stories, reviewing memes. Like it could be an absolute what do they call them? Like a variety hour,
You
you
know
know?
what? Our whole goddamn show could be a game show. Like, what if our guests who come into the studio or do virtual, we force them to study our tapes, and then and we're just like rigging watch hours that way, and then they got to show up like well studied and polished, and then instead of they got to go up against the boss in order to win.
Dude, that I was thinking about that as well. Where like if it was a win Ben Stein's money, or if you get into like the where you're going to win a million sats on Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire, like VAW would be like grinding out 80 episodes in order to study for the show. So
Well,
um
I know we've got our ride or die audience members here listening to this, and if not, they're gonna listen eventually when we launch this. I know Reggie's in here, Jeremy's in here, and we're big on seeking the group conscience
yeah.
between Stuart and I. So what do you guys think about that? You know what I mean? What if we don't have to go full on, this is now a game show, but like maybe we should take a little time, Stuart, and like study game shows and like see
Dude,
how do we like do a little game show spin on this on some things here. I love it.
I I think for an absolute fact, the Friday live show could be like an Univision style, like absolute over the top, like Mexican TV show, game show thing, and just go absolutely nuts. Oh, BTC Moon Guy says there used to be a Bitcoin game show on YouTube. Uh oh, research alert, research alert. Yeah, we could be releasing stories throughout the week and then have games on Friday. It would be amazing. But let me hear your Coinstar story because you said you had one,
Me?
or a Food Line story or
Food
something.
Lion story. All right. So man, this was young Chris, young high school Chris. He used to party pretty hard on the weekends. Let's just put it that way. And like I had a job at the Marriott by the airport where I grew up, and these people they would put they'd put you on like the weekend morning brunch or breakfast shift to like as your like first job. I lasted probably about 3 weeks because I just kept, showing up 30 minutes late, not coming into work because I was out the night before and, doing whatever. So then I went over to Food Lion, which was kind of like in my neighborhood, got a job there, and it was way better. I mean, I was like working in the back, stocking shelves, doing all that, and then one day, this is what I remember the most. I got to bag the groceries, and I started bagging groceries, and it was so much fun. It was like a way better than working in the back or stocking shelves because it was like a speed challenge thing. Like, how do I organize in each bag and to go fast and like smile and say hi to the customer? And it was great. I loved my Food Lion experience. For some reason, I think I was only there for about 6 months too. I was the worst employee everywhere I ever worked. Period. I'm the worst employee to ever walk the face of the earth. I'd go up against almost anybody. Um, but yeah, good old Food Lion, man. Good old Food
That's so
Lion.
it's so funny that the bagging of the groceries was fun for you.
I loved it.
There's like things that you come across that you just love to do, man. Like I can tend to a fire infinitely. Like I can continue to like, you know, as a fire burns, like reshape it, stack some logs on top and just like keep it rolling literally for hours and hours and hours and I don't ever get tired of it. And like my mom for whatever reason like she is okay to do laundry, like she likes doing laundry and then drying the laundry and then folding it and I'm like dude this stuff is horrible, I don't want to do this. So
Wow.
it's so funny when we find things that like really click with us, you know.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to be the guy that rode on the back of a garbage truck.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, that looks
Well,
fun.
he's like dude when I retire I'm going to be a garbage man. I'm like okay. uh
I don't want to drive
whatever
that
works for
thing
you,
though.
man.
I don't want to drive it. I want to ride on the back. Actually, I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore. I don't see that anymore. Here in
Riding on the
Raleigh, at
back.
least, it's all like a robot that just comes and lifts your shit up and just.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, all right. So I've got another story for everybody here, and this is coming from number 14, Robert.
Whoa.
So I'm not certain if you all put it in the chat if you've seen number 14 Robert's episode yet. Okay, I'll put that in the chat. You might have recognized that our playlist skipped from number 13 Brock right to number 15 Jay for the longest time. And now number 14 Robert is firmly in that playlist where he belongs. But we published him recently, so he shouldn't be far down in terms of like date published. But Robert is the old man who sold 6 homes during the pandemic, smashed Bitcoin on the way down, created a cost basis of $20,000 for himself, and it has since gone 5x. And he now feels like he has enough money to provide for himself and for his wife if they live to be 100 years old. And he also said if they live to be 100,000 years old. So, Jeremy, maybe you can put a link to number 14 Robert's episode. I would 100% recommend that all you satillionaires listen to number 14 Robert when we're done with this live show while you're waiting for, Simply Bitcoin's live show to start. But here's what he said to me after he came on the show. He said, "Next time, help me remember to tell you about my first Citizens Bank experience when I made a series of large Bitcoin purchases." And number 14, Robert, is like 74 years old and he looks old. He says, "They were afraid I was going senile. And before they would wire my money to Swan, I had to convince them that I still had my mind." Oh my God. Can you believe that, dude?
No. That is wild.
He has to convince his bank that he's still sane in order for them to let him wire money to Swan. It's crazy.
It's wild. It's wild. They're just so I don't know. I don't want to talk down about like banks or anything. I mean, it's just they're just in a different world, you know.
Yeah.
They do not understand, and they haven't taken the time to really understand Bitcoin, and that's okay. They need some more time, but
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, number 33, Jameson told us a story about having to convince Siku to wire money to Mount Gox in like 20 like very early on in Bitcoin's history, right? I mean, it was like 2012 maybe. And here Robert is 2020, 2021, still having to convince his bank to let him wire cash. So I just got done reading a book about WeWork, which I think I referenced on an earlier live show where they were talking about all the venture capital money that was being thrown around. But I finished the book, and near the end of the book, it's the banks. It's Jamie Dimon and J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs. They're all chasing after WeWork's initial public offering, and they're all so dead set on being like the chief bank advisor to this super hot company that they're willing to like overlook all the warning signs and generate billions and billions of dollars in debt to like give to WeWork to go public. That like when it all exploded, they were all, they were out millions of dollars. I mean, it was crazy. It was a crazy story, but like I realized recently that like, debt to me is something I don't want. I want Bitcoin. I want hard money. I either want to have the money or I don't want to have it, but like I don't want to like do loans on top of collateral on top of loans with debt and then restructure all that stuff. But for a bank, a debt is their asset, man. They want to put you in debt because that's their asset. Bitcoin is my asset. A debt package is the bank's asset, and they're going to continue to work in that fiat clown world, so to speak, until they can figure out a way to take advantage of Bitcoin.
I wonder if we could ever get old Damie Jaimin on the show.
Dude, I think it would be awesome. I mean, I think having, I want to continue having a regular people come on the show and tell us stories that no Bitcoin podcast has ever covered before, and to bring regular people on the show and answer their questions about Bitcoin to help get them started and study them over time. But yeah, I want to bring on bigger Bitcoiners. I want to bring on celebrities. I want to bring on athletes, financial types, politicians. Like Stat Chats is for everyone. And if we bring someone on like Jamie Dimon or a politician and like they're absolutely, you know, don't agree with what we see, that's okay, man. That makes for good YouTube if you ask me. So okay, BTC Moon Guy says the Bitcoin game show was coming on around 2014, and the show was called Take My Bitcoins. Dude, we need to watch that. I also had an idea for a video, Chris, because I'm getting like obsessed with Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
I wanted to see um like how how much do people how much awareness is there about Bitcoin? Um and you would just take a camera onto the street and go up to a stranger and say, "Can I give you one Bitcoin?" and see if they would take it or not. Obviously,
Yeah.
you would need to have Mr. Beast level finances to just like give away a single Bitcoin. But how many people do you think would be like, "No, I'm okay," because they wouldn't even know it, or maybe if we're Sat Chats, we could say, "Hey, can I give you 10 million Sats?" and see if they would take it.
You could just say, "Can I give you some Bitcoin?"
Yeah, can I give you some Bitcoin and see if they would be like, sure. Or if they're like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm good. And then people, later on would go, oh my God, these guys were handing out generational wealth to strangers who were turning it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So BTC Moon Guy says we should interview the host of Take My Bitcoins. Let's absolutely do that. Let's absolutely find that guy and bring him on.
I also found a couple of other. There's one called the Satoshi game.
Okay. Yeah,
And
Satchats Live might just be an absolute game show, dude. We're gonna be, it's gonna be like Family Feud, Win Benstein's Money. What's the one with the suitcases where you just have to, like, open suitcases?
oh yeah, I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So last story I'll tell you, Chris, before we jump off, because I don't think we have any memes lined up this week. This is kind of like a holiday edition, where we let's see, 1,000 sats or $5, boots on the ground, hit the streets. It would be awesome. Yeah, we could do that. So last story I'll tell is a story of going on Simply Bitcoin last week. That was a lot of fun for me. Simply Bitcoin is a show I watch. At least last year I watched it a bunch because I was working my cybersecurity sales job, and for 90 minutes a day around the middle of the day, I could just have two guys keep me company while I worked to update Salesforce and send emails and send text messages and try to close deals. I could kind of, just have someone talk about Bitcoin in the background. So we met the COO of Simply Bitcoin along with Nico and Opti at the Vegas conference. And last week I was a guest on their show. We did it live from the studio, which was a lot of fun, and I had a good time. They were, Nico was like covering this idea that Bitcoin may not, be as exciting as it used to be. It may not go parabolic in price anymore. And I was able to come on that show and be like, nah, dude, Bitcoin is the greatest. Bitcoin is the GOAT. We need to be bullish on Bitcoin. I felt like I matched the vibes of Simply Bitcoin, and I think we put that episode in our playlist called Not Our, where we're like collecting podcast appearances of ours in other places. So if you guys like Simply Bitcoin, check that episode out. I feel like I had some good spots. But Chris, I'm telling you, man, I think I was talking to our producer about that, and he felt like I really matched their vibe. And I was like, just wait till I'm a guest on Natalie Brunell's show, and I'm like ultra polished journalistic style, dude. I'm gonna chameleon my way. I'm gonna be a chameleon on all these shows and just match their vibes. But my only regret is, number one, I think it would have been better if you and I were both on the show. Since we both host Sat Chats, part of our value is that there's two of us and we could both jump on there. And I also forgot to offer them their choice of $50 or $50 worth of Bitcoin. Like, if we're going to be guests on other people's shows, we have to remember to hijack their show at the end of their show and offer them $50 or $50 worth of sats as if they're on our show. What do you think about that?
Mm, you could do that. You could also just reserve that for what we do on our show. But I mean, it is nice to bring a gift as a guest.
Oh,
I tend to like doing that. When I'm a guest
and
somewhere.
and 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 what gift did Boovish aired this week? What gift did he bring for us?
Yeah, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He brought us that silver coin.
And didn't he gave us a second gift after the show was over.
Did he?
It was like what was it? I think it was like a set of Indian spices or something, man. There was like a second gift that he gave us downstairs after we were done taping.
Well, I've been talking to the Ithaca team up there who works very closely with him, and he's been super pumped ever since he was on the show. He absolutely loved it, and it was great to have him too. He did a lot of work to prepare, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and his was a great episode. So that could be a nice way to get people interested in our show is to be handing out sats because the guys at Simply Bitcoin could not understand how we were handing out so many sats, dude. We've been in the business since January, and we're already at 4 million sats that we've given away. Now we got Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire. We got the 10 million sats. So by the way, smash the subscribe. Make sure that you are in the running for 10 million sats when we reach 100,000 subscribers. My brother-in-law showed me here on vacation how he is subscribed, and he's going to come on the show and talk about buying Bitcoin, and he's also going to represent for the XRP army. So get ready for that. But he has some wild takes, man. That we're gonna get on the show. So that could be a good way to do it, though, is to give out those gifts. All right, so Chris, we're almost at the top of the hour here, brother. Do you got anything else that you want to add?
No, we've been out of the studio for a while, so all the episodes that we've been publishing were recorded, a week or two or more weeks ago. But next week we'll be back in the studio. I'm excited for that. And no, appreciate everybody who's here. It looks like we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 15 watching live, which is great. We appreciate everybody, and have a happy 4th of July.
Yeah, man. We are living content paycheck to content paycheck. So the first show we tape Monday morning will be released Monday, and then we're gonna start stacking episodes back up again. And next week we will have some memes for everyone. We'll have a live show. We'll work on those segments. We'll brainstorm some of those game show ideas. We're gonna build out a whole new studio, Chris, where like you go into a booth like Ben Stein and you put on the headphones and all that stuff. That'll be amazing. Jimmy Kimmel is going to be hosting When Sat Chats is When Ben Stein Satoshi's. It's going to be amazing. So for everybody out there listening, thank you for listening. This has been another episodes of Sat Chats Live. So before you leave, remember to smash the subscribe for your chance at 10 million Satoshis. You can come on our show, satchats.com, to grab your slot in the studio today. Our Lightning and on chain Bitcoin addresses are in the show notes. Let everybody know about the show so that we can build the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center together. Sat Chats Live is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. We will see you on Monday with another episode.
Thank you.
And we'll have our